After waiting a little longer than some of their peers to find out their ACT scores, two Washington High School juniors finding out they got perfect scores on the standardized test. Taylor Fleming joining us and sharing their advice to future test takers. Taylor.
Janice, Isaac DeSutter and Grady Hahn were both having trouble accessing their scores online weeks after their peers had received their results. It turns out they didn't need to worry. Both students scored a 36. The boys each said there were moments where they were racing against the clock to get all the questions answered. Their perfect scores came as a pleasant surprise. I asked them what other students should know about taking these high-stakes tests.
Thankfully for the science part, you don't have to worry about going back and studying anything because it's not about the specific scientific knowledge. It's about logical and analytical ways of scientific thinking.
I would recommend just taking some practice tests, just seeing what questions, like what types there are, that honestly really helped me.
After high school, Isaac would like to study engineering or computer science, and Grady wants to pursue computer science or cybersecurity. This school year, Illinois students switched from taking the SAT to the ACT. That change was certainly not a problem for Isaac and Grady. Janice?